Hey everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video, we'll be going through an unboxing and review of the Studio Series Gamer Edition Voyager class Optimus Prime. And this particular version of Optimus is from Transformers War for Cybertron. The game, that is. And this particular figure was released this year being 2023, still. Well, for about another 5 months. And yeah, by good old Takara Tomy and Hasbro. So moving into the third release of the Gamer Edition subline, and the first Voyager class, we have Optimus Prime. Now, coincidentally enough, I'm actually not trying to do back-to-back videos of Optimus. It just so happens to work out that way. So prior to this, the video for the Studio Series Transformers Bumblebee version of Optimus would have gone up, and now we'll have a War for Cybertron version. Anyway, front of the box, so we have a nice image of Optimus there, pretty much taking about 2/3 of the front packaging, which is very cool. And then we can see the actual figure of Optimus there as well in the very reduced window, which I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually nice that they're spending a bit more time with the actual artwork and a little less of the window to the figure, mainly because it's less of the figure that can be touched. Given that I've seen a few figures on shelving that look like they've been utterly manhandled, but anyway, front of the box, side, just another shot of Optimus with the Studio Series numbering class, and another shot of Optimus yet again. Back of the box, robot mode, vehicle mode, 22 steps of conversion. So in terms of the included backdrop, since this is a Studio Series, looks like we have the K-On prison break. So in terms of going back to the game, the little blurb for it will be Optimus Prime enacts a plan to be captured by the Decepticons in an effort to save Zeta Prime. I think I loosely recall that. Now, for this particular version of Optimus, he actually will have a Matrix included, which is weird because well, I take that back because I'm pretty sure there's at least one or two. But traditionally, there's not a lot of Optimus figures that have actually had a Matrix included, so very cool. Yes, should be a fun little exercise to do the transformation later on. Optimus is definitely looking quite beefy, and I think this particular image of him actually looks pretty good. There's been one or two stock images of Prime, and I've just looked at it and thought something's really weird about the proportions, but anyway. Be interesting to see how well the transformation and the subsequent alt mode actually go as well. So, box side of things done. Time to open up the box, get Optimus out, have a look at Optimus, his accessories, the manual, and the included backdrop, which apparently will be the K-On prison break. And with everything now out of the packaging, what did we get? So I've assembled it, so it's now 2 accessories, although the axe actually does fold out into different individual components. So, but fundamentally 2 accessories, Optimus, the manual, and what is currently off the screen is the backdrop. So what we can quickly do is Optimus, and just get you to stand off camera here ever so briefly. Actually, just take you out of the camera altogether. Not the best way to present it, but the actual backdrop for what I suspect is the K-On prison break. And as I have said in the Bumblebee and Barricade unboxings, I really do miss the environment design for the game. It is really, really cool. To the point I actually started having a look to see if the game is actually on me, because I think I had it for the PlayStation 3. So I Might have to have another scavenge around for it. Anyway, now that we've had a quick look at the backdrop itself, in terms of the backdrop with Optimus standing in front of it, definitely not too bad. Optimus being the brighter colours that he is against the dark colour backdrop does look a lot more visually eye-catching. Of course, this little unboxing video is not doing this any form of credit, so I will have some images somewhere at some point in time of Optimus, probably with a few of his accessories with the backdrop. So that was that. On the point of the backdrop, before we move on, I'm definitely glad that they're doing different backdrops as opposed to the same one multiple times over. Okay, so Optimus, I'll just have you pop over there. Manual. It's a bit of a decent concertina one as well. So, because I did have a quick look beforehand, because I did actually want to double check that Prime was relatively transformed properly. So the first few steps basically going through detaching of his arm, which is fair enough, but it can also reattach to his back. I'm a little fence-sitty with that. I'm glad that it can be done, it just seemed weird. Otherwise, attaching either his ranged weapon or his axe as well, which is very cool. And you can also shorten the hilt of the axe. And then there is the Matrix. I'm really hoping the Matrix is inside and was not one of these little random loose items in the little paper bag that everything came in. Because the way that the instructions suggest the Matrix is basically put into the chest, and then the chest is subsequently closed. We will find out soon enough. As for the rest of the instructions, so there's the first 5 steps. Just to go through the arms. Now this is about a 22-step transformation process, so just need to see how that all pans out. I am making a giant mess and won't spend too much time on this, but yes. There'll obviously be some tabbing, which is very nice. Should hopefully come in handy, especially for the alt mode. I haven't spotted anything as unusual as the waist joint that was on Bumblebee. Doesn't mean that one doesn't exist, but nothing is coming to mind, which is good. And then we have Prime's final alt mode, and we do have a few steps about attaching different things. So you can attach both his ranged weapon and his axe whilst in his vehicle mode. I'll do it for the purpose of the video. I think he'll be okay with his ranged weapon on him. I'm not sure about having a whole axe in its handle, but there you go. That was the manual. Okay, because I'm dead curious. Yes, the Matrix is there. In fact, since we're actually about to look at accessories anyway, so there is the Matrix. Very nice. It is easily detachable. So Matrix on its own, naturally it's going to have a little hollow back, and then Optimus and his exposed chest area where the Matrix would be, and then Matrix just happily attaches back there, close and close. So that was the Matrix accessory. Don't say that 10 times fast. Well, you can, but prepare to be tongue-tied. So that was Prime and the Matrix in terms of his other accessories. So we have one very hefty ranged weapon, which I do remember he liked to use a lot. So that is very cool. It's a shame that it's pretty hollow, but that also doesn't surprise me at the same time. So we definitely have one of those. I wasn't paying attention on how to attach it, but I'm assuming, based on that hole there, it will just attach through there. Which basically means the hollow section is probably all pointing downwards and all of this is pointing upwards. And then lastly, we do have his axe. Now, at the moment it's in the predominant single blade with the full hilt there. This can also be done to go into a bit of a weird dual blade look as well. Although it does look a little bit weird. I guess it's better from certain angles. But definitely, that does look like a very impressive axe. It's a shame that not everyone has come with a close combat weapon. Bumblebee did, Prime did, Megatron will, Cliffjumper probably will, given he's pretty much just a redeco. Barricade did, which is unfortunate, but there you go. So that is that. Now in terms of equipping these, so yes, getting very used to doing this weird forearm detachment. Now apparently it will just attach here into his... Hi! I'm glad it's able to attach somewhere. I question the validity of why there. Anyway. And that is the switch out of the ranged weapon into that. Actually does look pretty nice. Seems quite seamless with the integration. That is very cool. And obviously the size of the weapon hasn't actually overly restricted too much with the arm as well. So whatever the arm could do, the arm should still be able to do with this attached. Now as for the axe, now it does come in different little multiple parts. I'm just going to do this. And attach that. So there we go. Prime with his axe and his ranged weapon. Very, very cool. They actually do seem to be well proportional to him as well, which is also another cool thing. Especially with Prime being a Voyager. Now with Prime being a Voyager, because I know I tried it with Barricade, I don't expect any of the weapons from either Barricade or Bumblebee to be compatible with Prime. The one that comes with Megatron, however, quite possibly, but that's also assuming it's an actual weapon and not just his cannon. Okay, so that was that. Take that off, get Prime's proper arm back, reattach that, which is actually quite easy to do, and then we'll just part with the axe for the time being as well. So we'll look at these again when we hit his vehicle mode. Now just fix up Prime. Now before we go too much further, Prime, can you stand on your own 2 feet unassisted? Yes you can. Okay, Optimus Prime. From the front, the side, the back, the other side, and just another quick close-up of Prime's head, and then Prime's upper body torso. In terms of colours, well, it's very typical Optimus Prime colours. A lot of red, a lot of blue. For this particular figure, there's the one general tone of the grey, but we do have some other painted colours, such as silver. I think that might still be silver in here. Within the legs, we have some interesting effects and painted colours of some type of red. Autobot logo on both of his shoulders, and we do have a bit more silver on the back, because that's basically the actual front of his vehicle mode. So colour wise, very much the typical Optimus Prime colour palette in all the appropriate places. So you definitely know it's Optimus just looking at the colours, which is very nice. We've already looked at the matrix, so that's not a problem. So, fun time. Articulation. So, starting with the head. So, there's definitely going to be some good, solid tilt up. Very nice tilt up. And definitely 360 at the neck, which is the problem. There'll also be a little bit of tilt down, but in terms of moving Prime's head into any type of direction, not a problem at all. That is really cool. In terms of the arm will do a full 360 here at the shoulder. The arm can also go out like so. Now, because we've already demonstrated 360, we do know the arm can go to the front and the back as well. So that is very cool. Now, while we're here, we have 360 rotation here, basically within the upper arm. We have the elbow joint, which definitely don't go too far because you will detach the forearm. So it's just a bit over 90 for that elbow bend. There will be no reverse elbow bend, it just resets the arm back into its straight position. And I think there was also some rotation within the wrist, which, if he's holding a weapon, not that it matters, will be a bit counterintuitive, although the only weapon you can really hold here is the axe. But it's still nice that there's a bit of that rotation there in the wrist, given that most of the times we have nothing. So definitely can't be too picky about it. So that's the arms. So the arms actually seems pretty solid in the way of articulation, especially given that a lot of it's not encumbered by things like the back. And in fact, since we are here, and I haven't mentioned it yet, a little bit of kibble, but it actually is still relatively streamlined and blended well into the back of the figure. So it's not the type of kibble where if you accidentally put your finger on it, it gets completely dislodged and does something weird and bizarre with the actual figure. So yes, there is kibble, but it's done in such a way to not be too distracting, which is always good. Anyway, back to articulation. Prime can do some rotation at his waist, which is good. So that does mean that if you need to do a bit of that waist pivot, it is very much possible. In terms of legs, he is very capable of doing a full split. Very, very capable. It's very cool. The leg can go all the way to the front. Obviously now it can go all the way to the side. And will not be able to go all the way to the back. So at the actual hip itself, that's as far back as it will go. Interesting why we're not allowed to do. I'm assuming it's not that we're not allowed to do it. I think it's just a case of hitting a few logistical challenges within the body, but not too much of a problem. The main thing is that it can go to the side and to the front. We will have that 360 rotation here, just at the head of the hip, which is very cool. It's always nice to have that rotation. Now if I move the leg to the front, in terms of the knee bend, standard knee bend, which is very cool, which is good. In terms of the lower leg, there's not going to be anything within the actual lower leg component itself. As for the feet, there's a bit of front and back on the feet, which isn't too bad, but more importantly, there will be a little bit of side to side. So from a posing perspective, that's actually really good, because it does mean that you can do some of these outward leg poses, do a little bit of rotation on that foot just to try and keep it relatively straight. So if I was to do something now, okay, so just doing this very, very quick and loose pose. So some of the movement within the actual feet will definitely keep Prime relatively flat-footed, which when posing is a good thing, because if there's nothing in the feet, you're basically going to have a little bit of struggle, especially if you're not doing things on a very flat surface, and things can topple over. So it's very nice that we have some of that side to side in the feet. So thank you, Prime, for demonstrating that pose. So it's pretty much a rundown of all the articulation within the figure. So far I am definitely happy that it's definitely on the grounds of a standard articulation, which is good. There's nothing over and above what It's usually included in a Voyager class. I'm glad some of the arm stuff isn't encumbered. The legs look like they will definitely support some good posing there as well. So overall, the robot mode, playability is definitely there. I'm still a little bit fence-sitty about the general proportions of the figure. It's not terrible, but I find he seems a bit proportionally larger than I'm accustomed to. But either way, doesn't matter. So that was the robot mode. Time for me to transform Prime into his alt mode. Then I can do a few thoughts about his transformation sequence, talk about his alt mode, and then basically do my final thoughts. And with Optimus now in his alt mode. So before I get too carried away with the transformation and the alt mode, so I have attached both his accessories to his vehicle mode. Now, his ranged weapon definitely doesn't look too bad when it's attached to him. As for his axe, well, I think the axe is safe to say sticks out like a sore thumb a lot more than his ranged weapon. So this is what Prime does look like with both of them attached. To be honest, if I was going to do anything, I wouldn't use this. So goodbye axe. I would actually leave Prime with his ranged weapon attached on him, which actually does look a lot more seamless and nicer, to be honest. Now, transformation actually wasn't too bad. Definitely a case of just following through the manual. There weren't any real hidden gotchas or complex components of transformation. Everything, I mean, now that I've done it once, I would say it's quite intuitive once you get the hang of it. The tabbing does work quite well. In fact, I was actually a bit worried, especially with the tabbing in some of the blue parts, that I was thinking, oh, hang on, this can't possibly tab together. I feel like I've overshot the mark. It will feel like you overshot, but you actually haven't overshot. Everything actually will tab together quite nicely. So there's some tabbing within the sides here, tabbing within here, the legs themselves, the forearms into the legs, tabbing with the sides into this as well. So overall, the tabbing and transformation will come together quite nicely. It does actually provide for a fairly sturdy alt mode, which is very cool. So transformation, definitely not too bad at all. As for the alt mode, so I'll keep his weapon there. So alt mode, so Prime from the front, Prime from the side, the rear, the other side, top profile, bottom profile. Definitely not too bad looking. Everything does come together quite nicely. Just trying to think if there's anything else to say about his ultimate. Now, I will admit it's unfortunate that from behind you will see his very exposed hands there. It's not the worst hand exposure I've seen on a figure, but it is definitely there. Which is unfortunate, but it's not too bad. I'd say that was probably the one thing that looked a little bit odd with the vehicle mode, that you would still see that. In terms of articulation, so each of these wheels will move independently. It's also very nice that they actually do have some of their rims actually painted as well, as opposed to being one weird color. So that is very cool there. And yes, they do move a lot better than when I tried when I was doing Studio Series Premium Finish Prime. So that is pretty cool. So articulation we've covered. We've had a quick look at a few different angles. Color wise, it's all the same colors that we saw from the robot mode. In fact, the blue probably feels a lot more pronounced. So the blue and the red are still here. We definitely have some of the silver coming through, especially on the front for some of the Cybertronian detailing there. We have a little bit of grey now for the quote-unquote smokestacks. And that's about it. A lot of the grey is still very much joint based and within the robot mode compared to the alt mode. And we have the black of the weapon there, which once again just adds a little bit of colour and does help break things up. So overall, colors are still, one, very Optimus Prime, and two, they do actually work quite well and synergize very well. I definitely quite like the look of the alt mode, and I'm pretty sure I've said this in previous occasions many a time. Cybertronian alt modes always seem to tick the right boxes for me, which is probably why I'm actually don't mind having weapons attached to them. I think they're actually pretty good. Other than that, yeah, the alt mode has come together quite nicely for the previously mentioned transformation process. Once you get through that, colors are good. Having the weapon attachments is nice, and overall actually doesn't feel too bad at all. I think there's only one thing I think about as a possible criticism, but I will get to that when I do more of the final thoughts side of things. Which I think is probably ready to kick off now, because I don't think there's too much more to say about the transformation and the alt mode that hasn't been said already. So, final thoughts of War for Cybertron Voyager class Optimus Prime. Going back to his robot mode, colors are really good. Articulation is definitely meeting the stock standard for a Voyager class. Probably has a little bit more, in the sense that nothing has been encumbered or blocked by any other parts of the figure. Definitely looking forward to seeing how the short goes, because I do the shorts probably a few days after I do the initial recording of the unboxing. I can't confirm what the shorts and the flexibility and posability will be like until then. Current feel suggests that it should be fairly good, but the short will tell. And then after that, I'll just do more of a text-based summary on Instagram and the video comments if something has changed. Colors are good, not a problem with that. Yeah, I think the only, can't even call them a problem because they actually don't cause a problem. The only things that may potentially give you some personal grievance if you're not a big fan of it, a little bit of the kibbling on the back. It wasn't terrible, but it is definitely there. But as I said, it's not terrible. It has been worse. Accessories, not too worried about. Definitely glad that we get the nice accessories. Be interesting to see if we get another weapon option from Megatron when the time comes. And yeah, overall, his robot mode, pretty good. The short will basically confirm whether that is indeed the case or if there's something else. As for the transformation, yes, I did use the manual, but it still felt pretty fluidic and straightforward. So I think transformation-wise, I don't think it would offer too much of a problem. Probably quite fun and enjoyable to try and wing it as well, but for the purposes of time, I just used the manual just to validate that the manual kind of works. So transformation, definitely not too bad. Yeah, just make sure that you follow everything correctly and you'll get to where you need. And because there's no really weird steps, everything just tabs together quite nicely. You don't have to worry about trying to shift things around. So that's transformation. Alt mode looks really good. I do like colors. The weapon actually doesn't look too bad on it, and overall it does look like a Cybertronian truck of some description. My only criticism about it, and it's hard to say if it's even valid and rational. Now I know he's a Voyager, but Prime does feel a lot more bigger than I was expecting. And when I say that, I also mean that I'm pretty sure I have a copy of the original War for Cybertron Optimus figure from moons ago. So I've already had some experience with a War for Cybertron figure, especially for Prime, Megatron, and some of the others as well. It's definitely not bad. It's just getting a little bit of getting used to that. The change of figure proportions has obviously meant a... larger alt mode. as I said, it's a minor nitpick. It's hardly an actual issue, but it is nice. And plus, once I start, comparing it with things like Bumblebee Barricade and some of the others, I'm sure that'll probably put my mind completely at ease about this weird scaling concept with the figures. But other than that, the alt mode has been pretty good as well. Would I recommend this particular version of Optimus? I would say yes, I would. Everything has ticked a lot of the right boxes. There's nothing inherently terrible about the figure. Yes, the proportions seem a little bit bigger in some areas than others, but that's probably a really minor thing in the grand scheme of things. The fact that we get 2 sets of accessories, hopefully there's a good amount of playability with the robot mode and things like that. I think overall it's definitely a decent valued figure for Optimus, especially for his War for Cybertron theme as well, because we did see one figure once upon a time, but we haven't seen one since. So it's definitely good for those who missed out the first time. Now you get one. For those who didn't miss out, you get to play the comparison game, myself included, when the time comes. So yes, I would definitely recommend this version of Optimus, whether you're a fan of Optimus in general as a character, whether you're Puritan Autobots, whether you liked the War for Cybertron game, and I think a lot of people did. So there's definitely a lot of good reasons as to why you would pick up a copy of Optimus. And to be honest, I think some of the retailers locally that I typically get stuff from don't even have the figure listed on their online site, which makes me think that I have seen it, so it's definitely not a case of it wasn't around, but I think it's either gone out of stock very quickly or the retailers are just doing what they can to try and minimize additional purchases of back order stock. But yes, he seems like he's still going to be a highly sought after figure, so I think that probably just continues to reinforce that Prime will be a decent pickup for any collection. With that being said, I will pretty much leave the unboxing and review there for Studio Series Gamer Edition Voyager Optimus Prime per War for Cybertron. It's definitely been a fun little unboxing and review. I've quite enjoyed having a little play around with Optimus, and hopefully when I do the shorts it will continue some of the more optimistic and hopeful thoughts of the figure, and not necessarily introduce anything that I haven't been able to see thus far because I haven't done too much posing. So definitely keep an eye out for that when the time comes. I'll try and give a bit of a heads up in the community post as well of what to expect, although to be honest I think this is going to be uploaded within 24 hours, so it'll just appear. Thank you very much for watching this unboxing and review video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel and I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account. Link is in the description. It's also the same handle name as this YouTube channel. And as I've dropped reference to a few times, there will be a supplementary short of Optimus to go with this unboxing and review. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in a future video, which could still be some type of Transformer theme, or it'll be something else that, for whatever reasons, tickles my fancy. Until the next time.